this video, we're going to be talking about trust issues that I have with society, that I have with relationships. The point of this video is to start making our way out of relationships and into different categories that I'd like to be talking about. This will also tie into my beliefs. This will tie into all the places that I want to live. But without further ado, we'll start with relationships. So I have, in recent years, been having a lot of trust issues with people. Now, if I had to keep this with relationships in regards to the video that I made about modern dating, I've been having women that I go on dates with, dinner dates, that end up getting free meals and then ghosting me. So that doesn't really help my trust situation at all. Romantic relationships I have been getting into. Women come into my life, they express a romantic interest with me, they dedicate some time with me, and over time, there's a lot of time investment, a lot of physical investment, a lot of financial investment, just for what seems to be a repeating trend with relationships is I start getting the cold shoulder, I start getting the silent treatment, and then it spirals into I'm a piece of crap. I've said this a lot, where I'm a piece of crap and I don't get the feedback that I want. And in one case, I've been cheated on when I was deployed in a combat zone. Ooh. So these situations, romantically, they do not help bring future women in a good light. I cannot help but go into another date thinking they just want food, they want to be treated like a princess, and I take them out and get them a lot of nice things. Now, granted, I haven't really been doing a lot of that outside of a relationship since Oklahoma, but there were women that I dated that I would try to woo with my money, but it would sometimes dip into my gas money, my food money, but that also kind of shows how much of a simp that I was back in Oklahoma, back in the day. And then it eventually just went into romantic relationships. If you're in a romantic relationship with me, I'm going to treat you right. But again, that meant investing a lot of time, a lot of emotions, a lot of money for people that didn't want to be with me in the long run, people that just kind of lost that flame. And I did not dictate or control whether if that flame went out or not. I could throw gasoline on that metaphorical flame and it would still go out, which is unfortunate. But with every failed relationship that I've had, not only have my standards gone up and my paranoia has gone up, but my trust issues have gone up as well. Who is to say that the next romantic relationship that I get into won't end the same way, with a cold shoulder followed by berating, followed by a lot of ugly words that I probably didn't deserve, or vague criticisms. It's just very hard. It's just very hard to open up to the next relationship when this just seems to be the trend. And that goes for just casual dating to serious romantic relationships. So romantically, I feel like I'm kind of screwed. Socially, and I'm going to be a little political, and I am going to call out a certain group of people. But the whole point, like I said, the whole point of these videos is to express what I've been through, establish what's right and what's wrong. So going into, I guess, the next chapter into what my trust issues are, where my trust issues are, this is where they begin. Is when I was in middle school, I went to a very rough middle school, Mount Baker, and the school itself was in a rough area. Some of the kids came from this rough area, and it wasn't just one group of people. It was a whole bunch. There was Caucasians, there was blacks, Hispanics. Anyone that grew up in around the school was very, I don't know, there were a lot of fights. I didn't even know about racism until I got into middle school, which was very sad because I spent this entire time in elementary school learning about Martin Luther King and how it was a problem in the past, only for it to still be a problem today. And I didn't really see that until middle school. But with that came a lot of toxicity, and the racism, and the fighting, and the stealing, and the formation of I don't really want to call them gangs, but certain groups of people stuck to themselves. And it wasn't even just, really wasn't even just racial. I mean, the nerds hanged out with themselves, the jocks hanged out with their group, the Hispanics hanged out with their group. Everyone had their group, and that's kind of normal in today's society. But you gotta look at where the school was. And what I'm trying to get at is bad area, bad school, interesting group of kids now coming into the school. I came from a pretty nice elementary school to kind of a interesting middle school. And sometimes we'd go into lockdown over questionable people that were in the area. And I'm referring to homeless people. Now, homeless people in Seattle wasn't that bad growing up, in my opinion. But it wasn't until I got back from the military did homelessness suddenly, in the 4 years I was gone, homelessness blew up. I worked an HVAC job. And every time I was assigned to be with a HVAC technician, if we went to a bad area, at least half the time, not all the time, but at least half the time, Richardson, you're going to stay with the van, and you're going to watch over the van. And there were less than 5 instances, but the fact that it happened at least more or less 5 times was still kind of a shock, where we had a homeless person who was high, who would be peering in the van, looking for, well, tools, equipment, copper. They know that copper is worth its weight in gold, or worth its weight in copper at least. And there were times, hey, you go away. And there were times, hey man, I ain't doing anything wrong. You get your usual lashback from a homeless person. I ain't doing anything wrong, or they run away, laughing, giggling, skipping, dancing. I've seen it before. There were times I was on a roof, this happened at least twice, where I'm on a roof cleaning coils, and sure enough, I look over the ledge off the roof, and there's someone looking in the van. Hey, you go away! And just, I feel bad for the homeless community. I'm sure they can't help it, or they've gotten into drugs, and they've become perma-fried, and they need help. But at the end of the day, they're not getting help, and they're all on the street, and they're unfortunately causing havoc. And I've seen it in Washington. And then when I moved to Colorado, I moved into what I thought was a safe apartment complex. Within the first year, nothing, well, not in the apartment complex. My neighbor's car got broken into, and he expressed his frustration with me, and I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. This must be a very rare occasion. I did have homeless people outside the apartment complex follow me. I did have one guy who was high, threatening to beat up the first person he saw, and he was yelling that and confronted me. And luckily he didn't do anything, but it was just one of those situations of this is happening. And it wasn't until my first year did I finally get my truck broken into. And I served the military with pride. So much so, I put an Air Force sticker on my truck, I put an Afghan vet sticker on my truck, and to see someone look at those stickers and go, oh, hey, he's a veteran that served his country, he fought in Afghanistan, yeah, I'm going to break into his truck. Like, really just frustrated me. And to make things worse, this didn't happen one time. This happened not 2 times. This happened 3 times where I've had my truck broken into. And every time the key to my truck has been stripped, they never break the window. They do something with the key. I wish I knew exactly what, but let's just say that when I do go to manually unlock the truck, it doesn't work compared to other times. So this individual knows what they're doing. And it's about $1,000 fix every time. The first time my truck was broken into, they stole about $600 worth of assets. The second time, they stole about a $20 bill. Don't leave change or money in your cup holder, I learned. And then the third time, not only did they get access to the cab, they stole one of my special survival knives that I've had for the longest time. But they got into the bed. Now, the bed wasn't locked, but I figured, I got a tote container back there that's held down by a ratchet strap. Getting in there is very hard. I got a cover, so they got to crawl in. And there's nothing really valuable in there. But whoever took the time to crawl in there, cut the ratchet strap, pull out the tote container, probably took them less than a minute. And the fact that they went through all that trouble just to get, what was it? A road flare, construction helmet, road vest, some road flares if I didn't say that already, a truck net, a first aid kit. I think there was an axe in there, just a little axe. Collectively, it was about $100 worth of stuff. Now, I can complain about, oh my God, maybe they stole $20. Oh my God, they stole $100. I look at the concept. The concept is someone who had nothing better to do, probably on drugs, took the time to walk into an apartment complex, check out people's vehicles, come across someone who served their country. I have PTSD, mild PTSD from my time in Afghanistan. I have been shot at, I have been bombed. And, I definitely didn't come back the same person. And someone took their time to do all that. On top of that, I've had my mailbox broken into. And there was a time where I was taking out the trash early in the morning. Some homeless guy was dumpster diving. And I let him be. Hey, he's finding whatever he wants to find. Whatever. Dude sees me, jumps out, pulls a knife on me. Well, for those of you who are anti-gun, this is one of those moments where I'm proud to be pro-gun, is in Colorado, you have a stand your ground law. If you feel like your life is being threatened, you can defend yourself. And I brandished my firearm. Please do not come any closer with your knife. I will defend myself. And that person did what the other person back in Washington did. Oh my God, you're threatening me. Oh my God, they're being the victim. And I'm just standing there like, if you didn't approach me with your knife, I wouldn't have to draw my gun. And I'm within the law. And I've brought this up to the police, which I got something to say about the police. I want to be pro-blue, but after everything that's happened in Colorado, I've been disappointed. Absolutely disappointed. And it's maybe not so much about the cops themselves, but it is about their policies. But I'll leave that for a different video, because now that I think about it, oh my God, my blood pressure just went up. Anyway, getting to the point. Between relationships and how they've failed, between a certain group of people that has taken it upon themselves to steal things from responsible adults, responsible people, working people. I work an honest job. I make an honest living. And for my vehicle to be abused the way it's been, for me to go back and fix the truck with my own money, insurance doesn't do jack shit. Insurance doesn't do jack shit. The one time I actually submitted for insurance, an insurance claim with everything that was broken into, I lost $600 worth of assets, and my key lock got stripped. That's $1,000 fix. And guess what insurance did? Here's $250. Why? Well, that's the apartment's responsibility. Well, the apartment didn't take responsibility for it. Insurance is not taking responsibility for it. Why the fuck am I paying for insurance? Total scam. Total scam. That was $1,600 in one night. I get $250 back. Oh, and then the police only just took a report. That's one of the reasons why I hate the police. They didn't come back and like, I don't know. I'll save that for a different video. But putting this all into one big cheese ball is, with everything that I've experienced with relationships and people taking it upon themselves to wreak havoc on law-abiding, responsible, hardworking people, on top of politics, people that are very political are some of the most toxic people. I live in not a huge city. I don't live in Denver, but I live in Colorado Springs, which is I think it's a pretty big spread out city. There's about, 500,000 people in the city alone, maybe a little less, and about 750,000 people that live in El Paso County. People, in my opinion, are no different than animals. And what I mean by that is, for those of you who own a dog, okay, or maybe even a cat, or just have ever owned a cat or dog, has your pet ever done something that seemed random in a manner where someone or something could have or did get hurt? I'll give you an example. There are times where you might have a dog, or let's just use a dog. There are times where you might have a dog. You might have the most well-behaved, disciplined dog. Well, first off, that dog still has instincts. My parents have a dog. Most well-behaved dog I've ever met. But if it comes across a squirrel, its instincts kicked in and it runs out after that squirrel. People are no different. If someone has something on their mind that they really want to do, they're probably going to do it. If someone wants to end themselves, they are going to find a way to end themselves. If someone wants to murder someone, they're going to find ways to actually murder that person. Look at active shooters. It's not a gun problem, it's a mental health problem. And I say that because over 99% of gun owners are actually responsible. Look at how many gun owners there are in the United States compared to how many active shooters there are. It's less than 1%. And if guns were really the big problem, then obviously we wouldn't have guns. But we do have guns because at least I have a gun to protect myself from those people that are short-wired, from those people that are unpredictable, from those people that take it upon themselves to go into a school or a workplace or a mall to shoot up the place because they're short-wired, because they have a mental health problem, or they got nothing better to do, or they have nothing to lose, or maybe they're persuaded by someone because they're weak-minded. I know for the Sandy Hook school shooting, that person played a lot of GTA 5. I believe it was GTA. That person probably took that game very literal because he didn't have a good healthy mental span. Probably took that game so literally that's probably what caused him to do Sandy Hook, unfortunately. But I put people and animals into the same category of people are unpredictable. Let's go back to my relationships. Everything's fine until it's not. And I never got a warning. I think what I'm trying to say overall is unpredictability. People are unpredictable, animals are unpredictable. That's why I have guns to protect myself from those unpredictable people that want to do harm, from those unpredictable people that do own guns, that want to do harm. I am fearful of women who want to be in a relationship with me, and then there's suddenly unpredictability. And then I get broken up with. Or, let's just say I do get married. I'm married for a few years, maybe even a few decades. Maybe I have kids. I save up a lot of money. I work real hard to get the house that I want. Maybe I get a new truck. Maybe I get some more guns for a gun collection because I like collecting guns. And all of a sudden that unpredictability kicks in, that untrustworthiness kicks in, and now I'm being filed for divorce, and now I'm losing all my guns, and now I'm losing the truck, and the house that I worked so hard to get. All gone. Because there was no trust, unpredictability. Same thing goes with other people. I want to live somewhere safe. I even want a little bit of a fence around my house. I am very suspicious and very cautious of people because of everything that has happened in recent years. I feel like that's really all I can say and emphasize is because people are unpredictable, it makes me paranoid, which makes me have trust issues with people. Whether if it's romantic, societal, political people are very hard to trust. Here's an example that happened last night. And this is from some person from Germany talking about, dear Americans, do not vote for the guy who's a threat to democracy, who has been accused of sexual assault, has been dealing with classified documents in a poor manner. And in my genuine curiosity, they never said who it was. In my genuine curiosity, I was like, are they talking about Joe Biden? Because there was classified documents at his house. If you look at how he interacts with younger women, it's a little concerning. And I've heard people from both sides say he's a threat to democracy. And I had some asshole on Twitter go, no, dude, obviously they're talking about Donald Trump. Okay, I can see why you think Donald Trump, because he had that sexual assault case. I forgot the name of the woman, but he had that going on. There was those classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. And the left say he's a threat to democracy. But the defense I had is, if you're going to be vague, don't blame me for thinking Joe Biden. I'm not saying it's Donald Trump either. But in this moment, I'm thinking Joe Biden. And some guy on Twitter did mention, like, hey, yeah, they do have some similarities. I don't blame you for thinking that. Well, thank you. Someone level-headed was able to recognize that. I'm not trying to dunk on Joe Biden. That's just what came to mind. But this other individual, who I assume is very left, went off on, you're dumb, you're idiot, you're ignorant, you're gullible, all that stuff. And it's like, dude, don't get me wrong, there's toxic people on both sides that make me suspicious of both candidates. One is less evil than the other. But for someone who's trying to see the both sides of the coin, which is why I do these videos, if you want me to come to your side, don't treat me like a piece of shit. Because then I'm going to go to the other side. Because the other side's actually not treating me like shit. This does kind of set me up for the next video in some kind of way, shape, or form. I would like to move on and start talking about my beliefs, and one of those would be politics. And then, once that is all done with the beliefs, we'll be talking about where I want to live. But this is a great segue of I try my best to understand both sides. And in the next video, I'll probably be talking about politics, why I believe in some things that I believe is right on the right side and some things that I believe is right on the left side. Both sides got good things that I believe in, that I want to support. Unfortunately, we live in a world where it's either one or the other. And for those of you who've been watching previous videos, obviously I chose conservative, but I'll be talking about that in another video. But going back to the story on Twitter, is if you want me to hear your story, if you want me to see things your way, calling me all these names like you're my ex-girlfriend is not going to help your case, and if anything is going to push people to the other side. And I can't help but wonder, to those toxic people on the left, how many people you've pushed over to the other side because of your toxicity. I will level a little bit right now and say that when I first got introduced to politics, the first group of toxic people that I encountered was the overzealous, toxic MAGA family from my first girlfriend. I didn't vote that year because I didn't know who stood for what, but I just knew that in that instance, I thought the right was toxic just because some family was uber conservative, uber Christian. They're the kind of people I would, hey, they're kind of a little far right, or at least a little over enthusiastic, or you get the idea. But it wasn't until later years. I never had a problem with anyone from the right ever since. It's been a lot of like, hey, you can have a disagreement, but at least you know what you're talking about. Respects. Whereas the left, it's either your way or the highway. But that also feeds into the trust issues. Is how can I stand on one side if a certain group of people is going to be toxic? So I got a lot of trust issues. This actually does play into where I want to live and why, and I will be talking about how I want to live. But for the next video, we'll be talking about my beliefs, why I believe in what I believe in, and we'll probably start off with, oh boy, everyone's favorite, politics. Don't talk about politics or religion. And we're going to go there because I'd like people's opinions and point of views, where I'm right, where I'm wrong, and that's the whole point of why I make these videos.